Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fadi Saad. I'm co-founder of MassRobotics and vice president for strategic partnerships. Welcome to our next signature event, Robotics and Construction. This is one of our series events where we deep dive into a particular vertical, and today we will deep dive into robotics, and we're looking at what are the challenges in construction, what are the opportunities and innovation that some of the startups are working on. Next, we have Vita Inclinata. It's a load stabilization crane, and we have the CEO and VP of Growth, Renee Owen. She's speaking to us from Denver, Colorado. Renee?
Thank you for the warm introduction. I'm excited to spend the next 5 minutes with you all talking about active load stabilization. So to kick us off, I want you to imagine completing an entire build on your job site without using a tagline for any of your lists. Can I get my next slide? That's the capability that Vita brings with our load stability system, or our LSS. It's a hardware unit that, using thrust, provides active load stabilization to any loads you have suspended from a cable. It does this providing hands-free, precise rotation, and then mitigating any swing that might be affecting your load or any load sway as you're trying to position it on the job site. We've got a simple hook on the top and the bottom, so it really only adds one step to the installation you'd already be doing. Slide. It works in 3 simple steps. First, our system senses the chaotic motion that would be affecting your load and making it sway or rotate the way you didn't want it to. And then second, we fuse and interpret this data on an onboard computer. And then finally, we use thrust from electric ducted fans to completely counteract any of the swinging and the rotation that your load might have. This keeps the load directly plumb beneath your crane throughout the duration of the lift. Can I get the next slide? So some of the key features we really have with the system is that hands-free control. So we use a remote pennant to allow either the crane operator or your riggers to rotate precisely the load exactly into the position that you want it. This keeps them in the safe lifting zone and eradicates the need to use taglines and have our riggers in dangerous positions. It also can stabilize any of the loads that you're putting on your crane. So it's active and hands-off, constant stabilization of the loads that you have. Slide. So kind of getting into the details here, we can rotate loads up to 66,000 pounds with a lot of variation because our system is modularly built, and then operation times can exceed up to 8 hours. When you're talking about in the field use, with our remote pennant, you can rotate the load 90 degrees in 15 seconds or 180 degrees in 30 seconds. Even with these larger rotations and then the micro movements for putting it into precision place, the pennant allows the rigger or the operator to complete all of these much quicker than we can currently with taglines. Slide. So when you're looking at the benefits beyond reducing the risks of taglines, we really need to quantify this. So what Vita has done is partnered with a company that runs a software called Nixon that actively calculates the risk profiles of job sites depending upon the technology and the tools that you're using. And compared to a tagline that you see here on the left, our system being used to rotate and position the load gives you a 31% risk reduction across the job site. We also make the lifting faster and safer. And with our system using the remote pennant and a couple buttons to orient it, you really don't spend much time on training your team, and the maintenance cycles are pretty long in between as well. Slide. So we're going to see a video here. Oh, perfect, it's running. So in this use case, we were positioning part of a tower crane, and you can see here how the pennant is able to be operated by a remote rigger who doesn't need to use a tagline or try with the precision lifting several times and a couple riggers to get it into place. Our system actually allows you to just spin it directly into place and then drop the load. We'll see real benefits from that precision placement in most operations, but with a highlight on duty cycle loads because you can make them so much more efficient. And then anything where you need to precisely position a load as you're setting it down, our system really excels there. And we'll get into some examples here in a moment. But you can see the operator can stand on the ground, he can stand in the cabin of the crane. Because it's so simple to use, you can really pass it around with the riggers fairly easily. Perfect. So one of the examples that I prepared for you today is steel erection. So with our system being modular in design, we can scale it up and then scale it down for the use case pretty easily. For steel erection, the real benefit people see here is that you don't have any more Christmas train. And that is a problem that's slowly phasing out of the industry, but still prevalent in some cases. And because our system is able to keep the load directly plumbed beneath the crane, you'll not have the movement there of the panels and the steel. So it allows for a much safer and more precise tower crane erection. Slide. We also have precast concrete. So we all know there's a huge issue with kiting in precast concrete, and it's not a great application for tag lines due to the size of the loads. But we can use the system here to stabilize any kind of load sway and the rotation. The great thing for this application is that our system is adaptive, and so it can continue providing the stability both rotationally and for the sway if you've got weather coming along. So let's say you're lifting one of these contrast panels up and you suddenly get a 60-mile-an-hour gust of wind. Normally that would be a pretty big risk factor on our job site, but because we're using an engineered solution to solve an error that's coming down, we can eradicate any of the risk there by keeping the load continually plumbed beneath the crane, enabling faster duty cycles and then faster job site completion overall. Slide. The third application I wanted to highlight for you guys today is the modular building. So because you need such precise placement and the pieces are coming together, using riggers with taglines can be a bit of a difficult obstacle on modular build sites. But our system would allow the rigger to stand away from the modules that you're moving at the moment, and then use the toggle part of the tenant to just rotate them directly into place while standing to the side. So you're not putting riggers in the load path, you're not trying to position and reposition for those precise placements, but you can do that on the first try remotely using the active stabilization. Slide. It's been a real pleasure talking with you all about this and really talking about the future of robotics in construction as the industry is moving in that direction so quickly. Now, my contact information is on the slide here, and it's also in your handout. And I would love to get on the phone or have an email with you about the questions you have about our system or any applications that you'd like to use it in. Thank you.